All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott from Jeff Teaches Programming. In the last series of videos here, 2, 3, and 4, we created a very simple to-do list. I'm not going to go over it at all anymore, but I do want to show you what we're going to do next because it's going to be a refinement of this to-do list. So it looks like this. So again, if I come in here and say, buy groceries, and I click add, there it is. Now notice it puts it in here, and notice now when I say delete, it says, do you want to delete this task? If I say no, keep it, it's still there. And if I say yes, delete, it's gone. All right. Now hopefully you notice too, this is a lot nicer looking than what we had before. Not that what we had before was terrible. All right. But the reason that I mentioned that to you is in this particular example, we are going to have a lot more CSS that we create. All right, so file, and I'm going to open a file here, and I think I copied this stuff all over to ToDo02. So let's just open, we'll start with this, and believe me, there's enough CSS that the only other file I'm going to open here is going to be the CSS file. What the heck, we'll open the styles file as well, or the script.js file as well. So right now what we have is an exact duplicate of what we had before. So we're going to start changing it. All right. Now, there's not a lot we're going to change here. We're going to add a little bit, but there's not a lot we're going to change here in the HTML. So we've got our document type. We've got our HTML tag, our head, the fact that we're using Unicode. All right, we're trying to set this thing up again. All right, we'll change the name from to-do list version 1 to to-do list version 2. Okay, we've got our link to our style sheet. We've got, why don't we call this one my to-do list 2? Okay, so we've got this container like we had before. We've got the div with the input row. We've got the input tag with task. Type is text. Placeholder is add a task here. On click, we're calling add new task, and the button's name is add. And then we've got another div with an empty UL. Okay, so none of that's new. That's exactly the same, other than the fact that, again, I changed that to a 2 and I added a 2 here. All right, but before we have our reference here for our JavaScript file, we're going to add, here's a surprise, some more divs. So let's start with a div here. And this div, let's give it an ID. And the ID will be, how about confirm dialog? Yeah, that's okay. All right. And it is going to be a dialog, so we're going to say the role of this is going to be as a dialog. And we can put a couple ARIA things in here. Again, I'm not taking the time to go over this. Modal equal true. And labeled by equals confirm, I don't know, confirm title. Something like that. That's fine. All right. And let's end this. Let's put in a little space here. There we go. And as you probably guessed, we're going to put some stuff in here. So in fact, let's go up a little bit here. There we go. Whoops. Yeah, that's good. All right. So let's put another div in here. And the class is going to be equal to the confirm box. I don't know, not a great name, but it'll do. All right, and in this div, we're going to have some paragraphs. Not sure why I did this, but it's got an ID and a class of the same name, which probably really isn't recommended, but that's okay. And we're going to put here delete task, because that's what we're asking. Do you want to delete this task? And we're going to let the user know. This is their warning, so to speak. And we're going to let them know that this delete cannot be undone. All right, we're going to add one more div in here. Oops. You know, it automatically puts these double quotes in for me, but for some reason I've always been so used to putting them in myself. And I don't know why, but it screws a lot of stuff up. So. Since we got a confirm no, let's make a confirm yes. Changing some stuff here on the fly from what I had originally. And that should be it. Now, believe me when I tell you this is very, very far from done. That said, let's run it. Not sure why it's not showing anything, but that's, oh, there it is. Okay, so it looks a little bit different. All right, there we're adding the task, and then we're saying delete task. This task cannot be undone. I have to work on that. It looks a little crummy. And I was just thinking about this. I'm only 11 minutes in, but one thing I didn't do that I'd like to do would be to go back and add some comments to this HTML. All right, so I'm going to stop right here. But before I do, again, I put this, I will save this out here. And again, these are the W3 school sites. That's an HTML tutorial. That's a listing of all HTML tags. That's a W3 Schools CSS tutorial. And that's a W3 Schools JavaScript tutorial. These are the three, they're not tutorials, but they're web documents from developer.mozilla.org on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And again, finally, I created 275 videos based on these. And you can find those starting right here. All right. So I'll be back, and I'm going to do two things. And starting in the next video, what I want to do is two different things. Number one, I want to add comments to the HTML. So I want to go back and write those, and then I'll be able to add them. And then secondly, I'd like to start on the CSS. Okay. It's probably going to be it for tonight, but I'll have more. And I should be able to finish this up tomorrow. After we get done with that, what I'd like to do then is to write a really, really simplistic version of the BMI file. And then write a better one. All right. Once we get done with that, I want to write a simplistic version of the payroll program and then write a better one. Then what I'd like to do is to take both the BMI program, the better version, and the payroll program, the better version, and rewrite those using TypeScript. And we'll talk about TypeScript before we get into that. All right. And again, there have been a lot of things in here that I've brushed over or not really talked about in much detail at all. But like I said, if you want to learn more about HTML and or CSS and or JavaScript, I've given you some resources. Okay, so I'll be back. Probably not till tomorrow, but I'll see you then. Thanks.